So namaste and a warm welcome to everyone. Bikramji, we are going to start. Namaste everyone. I am Sangeeta Reddy, Joint General Secretary of Vishwa Hindu Parishad, and welcome you all for today's second Baudik in connection with Shakti celebrating Hindu women in Germany. I welcome our distinguished guests and all the members attending today's Baudik. And the interesting topic is the role of women in my well-being to the social well-being. Before starting, I would request all the audience to please mute your respective microphone. Not taking much time, let us start today's session with Pratana by Kailash Shankar Narayan.
Namaste everybody. Yam Vaidika mantra drishaf puranam Indram yamam matarishvanamahu Vedantino nirvachaniyamikam Yam brahma shabdena vinirdishanti Shaivayamisham shivaitya Yam vaishnava vishnuritistuvanti Buddhastatartan iti bauddha jaina Satshriya kale ti cha sikha santa Shastreti kechit prakriti kumara Swami ti mati ti pite ti bhaktya Yam prartayante jagati shataram Saha eka eva prabhuratvitiya. Dhanyavad.
Thank you so much, Kailash. Now I call upon Srimati Indu Kapoor ji, who is our senior most and very active member of Vishwa Hindu Parishad Germany, to say few words about the aims and objectives of VHP.
Thank you, Sangeeta ji. Namaskar. Few words. Vishwa Hindu Parishad was founded in August 1964 with an objective to organize the Indian society, serve and protect Hindu Dharma. The organization strives to bring awareness and unity among Hindu society and educate young Hindus on philosophy and practices of Hinduism. With Seva Bhav, community service is provided to people in distress around the globe. Thank you. Just few words and wishing the program all success. Thank you, Sangeeta ji.
Thank you, Indu ji. Thank you so much. Now I would like to request Srimati Seema Khair ji, who is also our senior Karyakarta of VHP, to say few words about Srimati Sai Patil ji, who is our special guest for today. A small Suchna, once Srimati Sai Patil ji is done with her Baudik, we will be having a question and answer round. So kindly keep yourself ready with the questions. Over to Seema ji.
Good evening and welcome to all the members here who has joined. And a little introduction of Dr. Sai Patil. She's a director of Biopharma company in Pittsburgh. She has MS Microbiology degree from Bharat and PhD from New York Medical College. She earned the executive MBA degree from University of Pittsburgh. She has also worked for Siemens Healthcare Diagnostic as Research and Development Director. And top of it, she is Executive Director of Hindu Swam Sevak Sangh, USA. Over to you, Dr. Patil. Thank you. Thank you, Sangeeta.
Namaste, everybody. And it is a great pleasure and honor to be with you. And I would like to thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to meet you all. Because, one thing COVID has done for us, that it has brought the world through Zoom very close. Because we can actually communicate with anybody and everybody whenever we want. And, this opportunity was created through these Zoom calls and through these live meetings. And today I get to talk to all of you sitting on this corner of the world on this special occasion. We all know that we have been celebrating Shakti, and I understand that you already had one such speech. And it is on the occasion of Women's Day, yeah, Women's Month for that matter, it is celebrated as. So if we think about it, we may wonder that when we talk about Women's Day, what really comes to our mind? Typically, if you see, there are few things which will pop up. One is women empowerment, one is feminism, and you can go on and on, such moments, right? Such movements which took place in history to kind of fight for women's rights. Why do we think that we actually had to divide this, come up with this concept of Women's Day or Women's Month or women empowerment, so to speak? You need to do all these things because something is lacking. And that something which was lacking is probably, as we all know, that somebody needs to be empowered because they were not powerful enough. So if that's the case, we might think that why do we think we came into this situation that 150% of the entire population was not powerful? Can we see if the bird is flying in the sky? Can we imagine that it can fly only with one wing? Not really. Both wings are important. Both wings need to be strong, and only then the bird can fly. If this is a simple logic, we all understand, then why we had to see that the 50% of half of the society had to be empowered? Why was it not powerful in the first place? And that brings us to the situation or the way the world evolved. If you see in the 200 or 100, 200 years ago, the entire economy, or even before that for that matter, the entire world started revolving, or the idea of the power or idea of the control started revolving around muscle power and economic power. Yeah. So who was involved in economic generation? If it was farming, if it was hunting, if it was any muscle-driven activity which was generating or which was contributing to economy, obviously men were doing it. And because the economy became the focus, because the power became the focus, obviously people who are not contributing to that were being subjugated. And that is where this difference, that is where this balance was disturbed. Interestingly enough, for us, it should be really alarming. For us, what do I mean by us? People who have inherited this culture, Hindu culture, or come from this civilization of thousands of years of history, should be alarmed just with this idea that there is no balance. Just with the idea that somebody is less powerful than the other. One half is less powerful than the other. It should be alarming to us because we as Hindus have inherited the concept that both these Shaktis, the feminine and masculine Shaktis, are equally important. And a wonderful example of that, if you can imagine, everybody has, everybody knows that who was the Adi Guru? Shankara, yeah? Shiva was the Adi Guru. And everybody wanted to learn this power of yoga from Shiva. One of those, his devotees, was Ma Parvati herself. And we know the story of how Ma Parvati did the penance to even become Shiva's Ardhangini. So when Ma Parvati and Shiva having this, Lord Shankara having this, dialogue or exchange of knowledge or transfer of knowledge, when he's teaching, even the Saptarshis wanted to learn from Lord Shiva. So they came and asked Lord Shiva that, can we also become your devotees? can you also teach us? And of course, Lord Shiva started teaching them. One of these Saptarshis, interestingly, became a very hardcore devotee of Lord Shiva. So much so that he started seeing the power or the embodiment of the knowledge in Shiva and focusing only on Shiva, so much so that if Ma Parvati and Shiva are sitting side by side, he would only do the pradakshina or go circumventing around only Lord Shiva. Because he said, this is it. This is what I'm going to worship because this is the only important thing. Lord Shankara was very amused by this. And he said, I need to kind of make him understand. So he requested Ma Parvati to sit on his lap just to see what Rishi Bhrigu will do. We all have seen this image of Ma Parvati sitting on Lord Shiva's lap, and one of the legs of Lord Shiva is hanging down, right? So Rishi Bhrigu transformed himself into a small size and went around only Shiva's leg, refusing to worship Ma Parvati. This really amused Lord Shiva, and he actually merged Ma Parvati into himself, and that's how Ardhanarishwara came into existence. We all have seen that image as well. What was the point of that? The point was to mention that these both Shaktis are required for the entire existence. The whole existence is not possible without the masculine and feminine Shakti. And that is why today, especially, I think we need to remember that importance. We need to remind ourselves what we have learned and how we forgot that in between. But then let's focus on, since we are celebrating this Shakti, let's focus on this feminine Shakti. Why do we even care? Why do we want to talk about, if I am born as a woman, I can look at it as two ways. Oh man, what is this? Why do I have to go through this? What a pain. I have to take care of my house. I have to take care of my children. I have to bear the pain of childbirth. And there are so many expectations from me. Or I can look at it as, wow, what a wonderful opportunity to experience this. What is my role? What am I supposed to do? And then it comes to a concept of how my well-being is important. Why my well-being is important. Everybody understands, right? We have a very famous shloka, Sharira Madhyam Khalu Dharma Sadhanam. What does that mean? That body is one of the most important instrument we have to get anything done. And by anything, I mean hopefully good deeds. But practically anything you want to get done in this life, you need a body. And then obviously you need a healthy body. For that healthy body, obviously you need to take care of your well-being, because just healthy body is not going to get it done. The healthy body with the healthy mind is also important. So maybe in today's day and age, women are very, very aware that they need to take care of themselves. They're very aware that why their health is important. They actually take time out to go and exercise and stay physically fit. Hopefully, the intention behind it is not just look good, but to feel that, to get that health aspect out of it. I hope that is what our concept is for health, for doing the exercise. And if we are doing that, are we only taking care of our physical health? Or are we also worried about our mental health, our emotional health, our intellectual health? And why is that important? Why even that intellectual, mental, physical health is important? Because it will have an impact, not just on me, but because I am the powerhouse of the family, it will have an impact on my family. And whether I like it or not, it will have impact on any of the surroundings I interact with. And that brings us to the next understanding. As Hindus, we were told, all of us think that, hey, what probably is the purpose of my life? Some of us may think, what do I need? What do I want to achieve? I want to be happy. Everybody who is on the call probably will agree. All of us want to be happy. The question is, what kind of happiness? What do we mean by happiness? How do we define the happiness? Fulfilling my 6 senses, is that the happiness? Well, I like gulab jamun. I can keep eating gulab jamun. Is that going to be a sustainable happiness? And after a while, it's going to turn into dukkha, not happiness, if I keep eating the gulab jamun. The phone, I get the top, the latest iPhone, for example, and I'm obsessed with that iPhone. And I spend all my day on that iPhone, and I feel that that's giving me the happiness. If I bought that or somebody gifted it to me, wow, what a happy moment. And that's my happiness. Imagine that same phone bringing you a really sad news about your loved ones. Is that phone giving you happiness anymore? Not really. So we are talking about, as Hindus, we figured out that we need to talk about that sustainable happiness. How do you get that sustainable happiness? For that, all our rishis actually inquired, actually researched the concept of what is the purpose of human life. Why are we even here? To be born, to be fed, to be raised, to be educated, to procreate, to get old, and to die. Is that it? Then why are we taking birth over and over? As Hindus, we believe in rebirth, isn't it? So, fortunately for us, they figured out that our purpose of this life is to realize the connection between me and the ultimate consciousness. Man, this is so abstract. How do I understand that? I'm connected to this entire universe. I'm having tough time, getting along with my own family members. How am I connected to the universe? If you think about it, the smallest unit of this entire universe is me. Yeah. My extended version is my family. That extended version of family is my neighborhood. That extended version of the neighborhood is my society. The extension of that town is the state. Extended version of that state is my whole country. Extended version of that country is the whole world. And eventually extended version of that world is the entire universe. So there has to be a connection between me and that universe. And body has given us a perfect example to know how we should have the consciousness of that connection. Imagine what is the smallest unit of a body? It's a cell. The extended form of the cell is the tissue. Extended form of the tissue is the organ. Extended form of the organ is the entire human system, or the digestive system, or any system you take. And the extension form of that system is the entire body. Now, if that one cell in the body decides, hey, how do I care what is happening? The cell is sitting in the liver. How do I care about whatever is happening in my brain? I don't care. I'll just enjoy my life, take all the nutrients coming my way, even take more. Whatever is supposed to be for other organs, I can take even more. And I keep growing and growing and growing. What will happen? Tumor, isn't it? So when we do not understand the connection of myself with the entire existence, and I only think about myself, I have a risk of becoming the cancer to that system. And fortunately for us, our rishis identified that. And for that realization, we go through these multiple births. And one of that birth, in this lifetime, we are either born as a man or a woman. And today, let's talk about that power, that Shakti, as a woman we are born with. But the important question is, do I understand that Shakti? Do I understand my role? What is my role? I can say, hey, I'm a daughter taking care of my family. My mother and father is my, duty. Sure. Then I say, hey, I'm a wife. Taking care of my husband and his family is my duty. Then, hey, I'm a mother. Taking care of my children is my duty. Hey, I'm a independent woman. Taking care of my own body and my career is my foremost duty. But is it independent of all these duties? If you think about it, as a woman, actually we have these multiple identities starting from the smallest identity, and it is not independent of the other identity. So you keep on drawing a concentric circle, touching every identity. And that identity grows bigger and bigger and bigger. That's how I'm going to be connected to my biggest identity as part of this whole creation. So then how do I understand? What do I do? How do I balance? We all know that we all are completely aware of our duties in our household. We really are good at it, by and large. But then when it comes to identifying what that motherhood really is, let's take about the example of motherhood. What do I mean by that motherhood? How is my well-being, my family's well-being can be controlled through that motherhood? Fortunately, as Hindus, and even I'm not saying only Hindus have these examples, but we will talk about our examples because we can relate to it very quickly. We have been given wonderful examples in our history of how that motherhood has impacted the entire society. Hopefully, all of us have heard of Shivaji, a great Maratha king called Shivaji, born in a situation where the entire Bharat was intruded and ruled by Mughal kings coming from outside of Bharat. And the irony was multiple Mughal kings controlling multiple parts of Bharat, and our own people, great Hindu warriors, are serving these Mughal kings and fighting against each other because they're serving these Mughal kings. So if one Mughal king is fighting against the other Mughal king, they're serving to these, and brothers killing each other, father and brother killing each other. This was what was happening in 16th century, unfortunately. In such period, this woman is born who has seen her own brothers killing each other because they were serving two different Mughal kings. She saw that her own women in her own village and in her own society are being completely destroyed, dishonored, and brutally treated by all these invaders. She was married to one such warrior who was given this huge area to be controlled by the Mughal king. So he was a great warrior, no doubt, but he could live in luxury, serving this Mughal king. And she had an option to go with him and enjoy that luxury. Instead, when she's pregnant with her second child, she decides that I got to do something. I can't let this happen. I can't watch my own people killing each other for these foreign invaders. I can't watch the women in front of me being treated so brutally. And that is when she decides to raise this child as a single mother. She tells her husband, you can go, do your duty, do whatever you need to do. I am not coming with you. I'm staying here and raising this child to make sure that I do my job as a mother to raise a child who is aware of his surroundings and who knows his duty to protect his society. And that woman was called Jizabai. She raised Shivaji from day one by telling him the stories of Mahabharata and Ramayana, by telling him how to be a just king, how to respect women, how do you treat women, how do you treat your surroundings. And treating our surroundings the right way is nothing but dharma. So she was raising him to be steadfast on dharma. And that person became this greatest Maratha warrior and the greatest Maratha king who established Hindu kingdom in the middle of this unbelievable circumstances where from all sides the Mughal kings were ruling. Why was this possible? Because this woman called Jizabai knew what motherhood means. Otherwise, she could have said, hey, I'm going to raise my child in this luxury, make him a good warrior so he can go ahead and serve the next upcoming Mughal kings. That was a very easy choice. She chose to be right over being easy. And that's why she set an example of a great motherhood for us. But was it only the motherhood which was given importance? When needed, this same mother decided to give bigger importance to her society, to her kingdom. And we all have heard of Jhansi Ki Rani. That same woman is ready to tie her young child on her back and jump into the battlefield, knowing fully well that she's not going to survive. But she chose to do that so that coming generations can get inspired and not get into the concept of slavery. She says, I'm not going to take your pension, sir. She was offered a pension from the British government. Take the pension, live your life, don't worry about it, we'll take care of Jhansi. She says, sorry, but thank you. I will take care of it. And if for that, if I have to give up my life, I'm ready for it. We have multiple such examples. And it is not just the recent times. We have seen this from our Satyuga. We say, hey, women are treated really badly in India. What happened? When we say we have such glorious past, think about all the Rishikas. We only know Gargi and Maitreyi, but there are multiple Rishikas who contributed to Veda. That means they had a choice. They had a choice to choose to be a scientist. All our Rishis were nothing but scientists. They had a choice to do research and contribute to Vedas. They had choice to become sannyasinis. They had choice to become Grihalakshmis and raise a family. They could do whatever they wanted, whatever was their strength. Then you come to Treta Yuga, you have an example where you have seen woman warrior. Kaikeyi, how did Kaikeyi get the boon? Where she could ask Dasharatha to send Rama in Vanvas. She got that boon when she was fighting side by side with Dasharatha in a war. We have had women warrior since then. So what happened? When we start deviating from dharma and only focus on artha and kama, then society can deteriorate. Because as we know, as Hindus we know, are 4 pillars of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Not just artha and kama. And that is when we need to realize that yes, the situation was not that great. Yes, the situation is improving, but improving by doing what? What is our role as a woman? Are we just copying what men are supposed to do? Are we copying what they wear, what they do, how they speak, how they conduct themselves? We don't have to. That's not the point. The point is to realize the Shakti within us, to understand what that Shakti is. How do we identify that Shakti? We identify that Shakti by reminding ourselves of all these great examples. Where is this Shakti coming from? I remember this story. You know, all of us have heard that in Mughal times, when the situation was dire, there were times when, you know, the whole family was killed. There will be attacks to make sure that the next generation of that kingdom will be killed, so that it is very easy to conquer the kingdom. Then, if there is no king, there is no heir to the king, easy to conquer the kingdom. During such time, everybody has heard of Maharana Pratap. Maharana Pratap's father was Uday Singh. Uday Singh, there was a situation that his family was being attacked. The father was already killed. And there was a woman who was taking care of young Uday Singh, who was barely 9 years old. Her name was Panna. She was responsible to take care of Panna Dai. She was responsible to take care of Uday Singh. A situation came when the enemy is right outside the palace. And she had to make sure that Uday Singh should be protected. There was no other way. She could not run with him. She would have not gone far. So she calls a few trusted soldiers of the kingdom, takes Uday Singh, gives it to them and says, take him to the most safe place and make sure he's protected. I said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to stall the enemies for a while. I said, how do you do that? She takes her own son, who is Uday Singh's age, puts Uday Singh's clothes on him and puts him in the bed, knowing fully well that when the enemies come, her son is going to be killed. But for the greater responsibility, for her social identity, for her bigger responsibility, she chooses to sacrifice her smaller responsibility. That is where we identify the Shakti. There is no lack of all these examples in our history. Any form of Shakti, if not identified by that own individual, is of no use. You know, Shakti can exist in multiple forms. Shakti can be, you know, fire is a Shakti. Yeah, fire is a power, nuclear power. So many powers, they have two things they can do. They can generate or they can destroy. These are innate powers, and that's why somebody has to control it from outside. The power which we have within us is the Sachetan Shakti. Nobody can control it. Only we can identify it. We can figure out, how do I use my Shakti? All the important Shaktis, if you see, are from Hindu philosophy, are established in the feminine form. Why? Precisely is the reason. Think about the Shakti of prosperity. We worship in form of goddess Durga. Think about Shakti of knowledge. We worship in form of Saraswati. Think about Shakti of power or Shakti of destruction. We worship in form of Durga. Why? precisely, I don't think any other religion worships divinity in form of feminine. We are very fortunate that we have been given this concept of worshipping the feminine Shakti. But we will be worshipped only if we identify our own Shakti and use it for the right reasons. Use it for the greater good. If I'm only worried about me, my family, my well-being, what is the difference? What is the difference? And why do we even think about, the well-being of the entire society? And why do we care about well-being of entire society? We talked about the example of the body. We don't want to be that cancer. We don't want to be self-centered, so selfish that we become the cancer to the society. And that is why we need to remind ourselves about this Shakti constantly. And for that, we need to be constantly doing something which is beyond just myself. Do I get involved in something, some activity, some organization, some, transforming thing which will actually transform me as a human being and make myself useful for this greater well-being? And it is not that we only have to look at our past glorious life or great examples in the past. Even today's day and age, we have such examples where women have made the difference. The question is, do we get carried away with the Western concept of feminism, where you can talk about just the women's right, you can talk about just the women empowerment, you can talk about sometimes the extreme feminism where, you say that everything which is feminine is only good. We can't do that because we have a concept of Ardhanarishwar. We know that both feminine and masculine Shaktis are important. And as women, we have the capacity to invoke any Shakti we want when it is needed. If I need to nurture, I will invoke that Shakti. If I need to protect and fight, I will invoke that Shakti. If I need to think about the bigger picture, I will invoke that Shakti. We all have heard of story of Bhagat Singh, yeah? How many of us have heard of story of Bhagat Singh's mother? Bhagat Singh, at the tender age in his 20s, was hanged by the British for fighting against the British. Can you imagine what his mother might have gone through? So the story is, she's, waiting outside when Bhagat Singh was hanged. And everybody, everybody is sad, everybody is in tears. Even Bhagat Singh's mother is in tears. And in one of the programs then, later when somebody approaches her, they say, hey, you are a Veera Mata. You should not be crying. Then Bhagat Singh's mother says, oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not crying because Bhagat Singh is dead. I'm crying because why did I give birth to only one Bhagat Singh? That is the power of motherhood we have. Nurturing need not stop at our own home. All of us have some qualities, some speciality where we can extend that quality, extend that skill, extend that power to impact our surroundings. And when we realize that, when we know how to mold, how to direct this innate energy we have, the world will start respecting it automatically. And I'm not saying that, there are no atrocities done to women. Of course there are. Of course, the other side needs to understand why we need to respect this feminine power. Why it is equally important to nurture and make her strong. Because as I said initially, the bird cannot fly with one strong wing. The other wing needs to be equally strong. And we have to take care of each other. Again, I'm going to come to the body, example of the body, right? Can men say that, you know what, you guys can take care of it, it's your problem? Women empowerment is a women problem. No, we can't. Because think about this, I'm walking in my backyard without any footwear, with a nice cup of tea in my hand, and some sharp object hits my foot. Is my hand going to say, you know what, I don't care. I have this tea in my hand, I'm going to enjoy it. You deal with your own injury. Does that happen in the body? No. We will immediately drop that cup and tend to the injured leg. That's how the body functions, because everything is interconnected, interdependent, interrelated. We all have to understand that relationship. We all have to understand that connection. And if that happens, we won't be just responsible for our own well-being. We won't be just responsible for our family's well-being, but we will definitely be more aware and responsible for the well-being of this entire world. Because as Hindus, we have inherited the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole world is one big family. We can't ignore that family. We can't be selfish and only worry about our own family. So as women, today, especially on the occasion of Women's Day, if we can ignite that inner Shakti, if we can identify our own power, and if we start contributing equally to this larger identity, I think we can achieve the bigger and maybe more abstract idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam or Vishwa Shanti. I will end here. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Srimati Sai Patil ji, for such a wonderful and excellent Baudik with lots of positive vibes, actually. So now the dais is open for the question and answer round. I would request the members to keep the questions as short as possible and one question at a time. Whoever is having a question, please raise their hands and the mic will be unmuted for them.
Sundaram.
Ji, namaste. It was such a honor to hear you speaking about the inner Shakti and I know more about how we shall perceive it. But I have a question because we as a women sometimes choose our priority and act accordingly. But for example, if I'll take a motherhood for for many women, we leave our professional career behind and start nurturing our kid and looking after the family. But sometimes we face and we see that we are being looked down upon, even from our close family. You know, sometimes even the children are growing up, they also look that my mother is not. And so that's always a constant, debate in mind. So how shall one keep a good synchronization or harmony with this? Like I know what is good for me and I'm doing it, but I'm being constantly looked down upon, let's say that way. So how shall we, perceive it as maybe,
Sure. Yeah. No, I understand. And I think a lot of women face this. I totally agree. But I think the bottom line is, number one, we need to be confident within ourselves that if I'm a homemaker, when I am asked, what do you do? Don't say nothing. Only if I work in outside my house, does that mean that I'm doing something? No. If I'm a homemaker, it is one of the biggest responsibilities. Rather, it is one of the toughest responsibilities. If I am raising a child with 100% focus on that child, we are doing something phenomenal. The question is, am I confident and am I comfortable in doing that? If I start self-doubting and thinking, oh, you know what, I don't work, then everybody else is going to think like that. We start respecting ourselves first, be confident about who we are, and accordingly treat every situation at hand. People will start respecting like that. And I'm not saying it's just one person's responsibility. Of course, the other half is equally important, but I'll tell you something. We cannot change others. What is in our hands, we can do. We can transform ourselves to a level where the other person will be compelled to change. And for that, I'll tell a quick story if it is okay. So Gandhiji, you know, when he used to go do discourses, he would always appeal and say, I request and I appeal that all women should become like Ma Sita. So one of the women, she got up and she said, Gandhiji, why do you always tell us to be Ma Sita? Why don't you tell men to be Sri Ram? Yeah. Then Gandhiji said, if you get the Satitva like Ma Sita, if you build the character like Ma Sita, Sri Ram will automatically exist. You have the capacity to transform that individual into Sri Ram. So that I tell this to you. Fortunately or unfortunately, as women, we have higher responsibility, we like it or not. But we got to stand there and we project our Shakti. Ravan didn't dare to touch Sita. That is the reason. So I think absolutely be confident in ourselves first, that hey, being homemaker is an equally important job and I'll do it with 100% dedication. And then I get involved in my social causes also. That's how your children will see that you are contributing so significantly, not just to your family, but to the society also. The respect will grow automatically. Hope that.
Thank you. Yeah, it is, being confident with what your choices and owning it. That's what I think. But thank you very much. Yeah.
Next, we have Smriti ji. Smriti ji, kindly unmute yourself.
Yeah, hello. So it was really nice listening to you. I especially liked the part, the way you integrated small stories from our history. And I would like, I mean, we all know about Shivaji and Mata Jijabai and all, but the details to which you went, how the background of Mata Jijabai. So could you please tell a few books where we can get some insights into such stories about Mataji of Bhagat Singh and such stories which are really inspiring?
Sure. I mean, there are multiple books, but one book I'll definitely recommend for all of you is a book by Nivedita Bhide, who is the Vice President of Vivekananda Kendra in Bharat. She has written a book in Women Empowerment in Light of Swami Vivekananda. It's a very small book. And it is available in Bharat. Probably we should, just bulk order it or something like that. Or I'll try and find a link and share it with the organizers. She actually talks about the entire history and the gradual change in the society of what women power was, where we have come, and how do we invigorate this inner power. And then associated that small stories. So this one book I definitely recommend. But for Jijabai and for other stories, there are multiple books, not just one book. But this book, I definitely say you must read.
All right. Thank you so much. That would be really nice because, I would also like to share with all the members, like my daughter is studying in 11th grade. She has English as a second language, I suppose. Yeah, second language. And in the English book, one of the chapter they have included on India, where they talk about Ramayana. and also in very negative sense, you know, that in India, women were supposed to be obedient and they didn't have an independent role and all that stuff. Now, I keep telling my daughter about Ramayana, and she was a bit shocked when she read this. And I told her that when your teacher takes this chapter, just let me know. I'll prepare some text for you. So I think we as Indians, we should always also be aware. And when we come across such, you know, information in Western media, we should also we should be well informed so that we can inform our children with, you know, such reasonings, the way you
Absolutely,
told the
Smriti ji,
stories.
that's the key. We ourselves should be aware of our own culture and our own concepts, because otherwise kya hota hai, we have this has happened to us multiple times. You go to say in the cafeteria in your office, or any shop, small shop, where only cash is accepted, say, for example, yeah, and you look into your purse and you don't have cash. These days people don't carry cash, yeah. So then you have to kind of request somebody, can I borrow $10? Can I borrow $20? Whatever from them, right? And then you come home and in your back pocket, you realize that you have $100 bill. That's exactly what the situation of Hindu society is. We don't know what treasure we have in our own pocket.
Yes.
And that's why we become influenced by the outsiders. We need to be completely aware of our own strengths, our own heritage, our own civilization, so that we can teach the next generation, so that they can be proud of who they are. And they can stand up against all this then. Actually, we in US, we actually had this California textbook issue where we fought against the education board and made them change the historical references about Hinduism and about India in the textbook. It took 10 years. But it is an amazing story how all the Hindu community came together to make this happen.
Okay.
Sorry, it was a long answer.
Happy to know that.
Yes.
So next we have Deepika Agarwal ji.
So
Deepika ji.
first, yeah, thank you, Sangeeta ji, and thank you, Sai ji, for this wonderful session. It was really nice to hear. And just wanted to add what you explained right now for the answer for Sundaram ji. I was forwarding for the 19th session this message to different groups, and many of the people, the ladies, asked me, what shall I do there, because I'm not working. I said, who told you that there are people only who are working can only come? Did anyone tell you? I said, yeah, but what shall we do? I have no idea. That is exactly the thing. I said, yeah, you don't have to work every time and get money. You must be having several different experiences in your life, no? Who knows? That you can come and share. Exactly the people, we have that mindset. When we ask, are you working? Exactly the answer, no, we are not working. Hey, but we are doing so many other activities. I am doing several activities that you are not doing. You are doing several activities that I am not doing. That is experience sharing. And anything may help anytime, or any knowledge can be shared anytime. You don't know. So this was exactly the point what I went to Bal Gokulam today, and some of them asked me directly, but I'm not working. What shall I do in that business, Indian business, that is point on that 19? What will I do there? And this is really a big question, that I don't work. Would I be able to adjust or share my experience? So this is really a big point, to be self-confident. Whatever I am doing, I am doing. Finish. And this may help or may not help me directly or others directly right now, but maybe later. So this I forwarded the same thing, and it was really nice to hear from you. That confidence to be कि यार आते हैं and क्या पता किससे कब कहाँ से कुछ सीख लेते हैं. You don't know. Thank you for that. Beautiful words.
So next we have Shriram ji.
I think Sundaram ji has already raised her hand. Maybe she can go
So
first.
you were the first, so I took your name.
Okay. No,
first.
sure.
You can
Okay.
ask your question. Then...
Okay. No, thanks. Man, I have 2 comments and then 1 question. It was a wonderful, eye-opening interjections of many of the examples that you gave, Saiji. Thank you so much. Some of it I didn't know. And 2 comments. Without Shiva, Shakti can exist, and without Shakti, even Shiva cannot exist. So that should be this thing for women in terms of who probably feel not so very confident about it. And I think, like they say, charity starts at home. Even the respect for a woman, and respect for a sister, respect for a wife, and respect for this thing should start at home. Then only learn it will propagate to the neighborhood surroundings and wherever it is. And being a homemaker, if people don't understand or realize, like, what wonderful job you're doing, 24/7 job, ask them to just switch roles. Ask them to take a day or two, or just take off a week and then go away to your in-law, to parents' house, or where it is, leaving children during their school time, or like, do something that they realize that, like, it's not the key. Just because one does not earn money does not mean that, like, it's a this thing. It's all the Western conditioning that has been, drained into the materialistic this thing, that has, बच्ची को, ladies को ऐसे नहीं दे बैठना चाहिए, ऐसे नहीं बोलना चाहिए, हंसना नहीं चाहिए. I mean, that's nonsense. I mean, that will actually, put you things down. Whoever puts you down, be it your husband, be it your father, be it your mother, to hell with it. You are unique piece and unique person on this Mother Earth, and no one can, and no one should be taking away that confidence from you. Each one of us are born through our parents, not even to our parents. And each soul is unique. And each soul and divinity is as powerful as the creator itself. Otherwise, na Shakti ko power hai, na Shiva ko power hai, if we are just part of that particular bigger universe and bigger consciousness. Sorry, and thank you.
So next we have Payal ji.
Thank you, Sangeeta ji. And thank you, Sai ji. It was a wonderful session. In fact, some of the examples that you gave made me so emotional that I was serving food to my daughter and I was like, oh my God, why am I even choking? Like, it was so powerful, some of the examples that you gave of Jijabai, of Bhagat Singh's mother. So I have a question, Sai ji, that you spoke about contributing outside our own house, like outside our own realm of affairs, our own circle. Sometimes I see that like our immediate loved ones, like in this case, I would name my husband, feels that, I mean, why this matar gashti? I mean, he'll say it in jest, but that is something that I kind of worry about sometimes. That why contributing outside the house is considered sometimes that why are you doing this? I mean, it's for fun, and it's not really for fun. It takes a lot of effort. It is a lot of time and effort that goes into it. That is my one question. And the other question I have is that as women, we don't support each other enough a lot of times, because I've seen that we'll do the lip service. Like, I want my friend and I really want her to come for an event, or I really want her to attend the Zoom meeting. And it just takes like 2 years and a headphone for that. And they'll say, oh, Payal, I'll come, but I have these, other commitments, or my child is. So I really don't know. I mean, from are we coming up with excuses just because the other person doesn't feel bad? Or are we just thinking that, I don't know. I mean, I feel that we have to come to each other's rescue even before going for the help. We have to recognize each other's Shakti first. So can you throw some light on that? Thank you so much.
Sure. So I'll address the first part of your question, where, when we do something outside or doing some outside work. I think, before I'm not saying the other side need not be blamed. Before we blame that, let's look at the intention behind anything we are doing outside. If the intention is for the betterment of the bigger identity, if the intention is pure and selfless, we will earn the respect. It is, say, for example, I'll give you an example. Sometimes we have an intention to join any organization. The intention is, mujhe president banna hai, I will be on the dais, I'll be speaking, I can put it in my resume that I do this social activity. If that becomes your intent of doing things, you will first lose the respect within yourself, and then the rest of the side won't respect, right?
Yeah.
What is the intention with which we are doing this social work is very, very important. Once you have established that, And once the other side sees that you are actually sacrificing a lot of self time, lot of going through a lot of trouble to get this happen, the respect will be generated automatically. The second thing is, we talked about, getting, the others are not coming, right? Or others, we get frustrated. It's also, look at it this way, that maybe you have ignited the inner Shakti, and that's why you realize the importance of doing these activities. The other person's, the Shakti is still Supta Avastha, is not ignited yet. It is my job to ignite it without getting frustrated, without judging. Unfortunately for us, we are very quick to judge. If somebody doesn't come on the call, we first, इनको कुछ पड़ी नहीं, हम इतना कर मर के कर रहे हैं, these guys don't care. That's the first thing which will come to our mind, without thinking, अरे कुछ हुआ होगा. Can we give the other side also a chance? And even if they came because this was not a priority, our job is keep doing what we are doing, igniting what, because if they don't come, it should not impact our work. That means our Shakti was only limited amount ignited. Turan bujh jati hai. If our Shakti or igniting our Shakti is dependent on somebody else, that's a problem. Isn't it? It should be self-motivated. We should be self-motivated. दूसरे आ रहे हैं कि नहीं, इससे फर्क नहीं पड़ना चाहिए मुझे. Then we automatically will start looking at them positively. We will stop judging and we'll automatically start supporting. The moment we stop this judgment business, support will automatically come. I hope this is a little theoretic, but it can be done in practice.
Yes,
also.
no, very practical, Saiji. Thank you.
Wonderful answer, wonderful. Yeah, next we have Sundaram ji.
Yeah. Sorry for another question, because I'm really kind of driven away the way you have explained to find your own Shakti, and that again just now you said about the limited amount of it's not ignited fully and things like that. So
Sundaram ji, you can ask as many questions you have.
Thank you so much for this one. Yeah. So first of all, I constantly work on myself on being on being confident on what I do, and at the same time I'm really well connected with the small women group here, and I would like to share this kind of wisdom to them, because we always question. I am very well connected with the women, and we always keep questioning. So I would like to get some references, if you have, that can help me, as well as I can share with other people, because the way you explained is what you do, own it, and that's your Shakti, or be confident about it. And so if you have some references that you'd like to share, that would be great. I would like to constantly go deeper into it for myself, and as well as for this one.
Sure. So I think one book which I already mentioned about, that's a wonderful book to start with.
Okay.
There are multiple resources, right? For example, for this, I can't say that I only read 2-3 books, and this is also a combination of for so many years of being interacting with multiple people, driving inspiration from them, listening to stories from childhood, and then just connecting the dots. Right. So it's not that specifically I can say this story I read in this book, but it's just a collection of so many years of listening, reading, experiencing, all that. But there are things which we can definitely start with. So either reading the stories, just the stories of all the great women in the past. There are multiple books on that. In fact, I recently came across one book, I forget the exact name, which has come up. They just recently came up with. There is also day before yesterday, Organizer published a special edition. Organizer is one of the magazines which is published in Bharat. They published a special edition purely on all these great women in Bharat. I can share the link with Sangeeta ji, and she can share with all of you. That also has a lot of references to all these stories. So like that, we can start looking for it. And if a few more names come to my mind, I'll definitely share it with Sangeeta ji.
Thank you, Ji. Next, we have Sriram Ji with one more question. Sriram Ji.
Sorry, I was just trying to put myself on mute. So with respect to this self-confidence, how do you instill, like how do you tell people to instill, because so much of conditioning, you know, like childhood conditioning or parents conditioning or societal conditioning, women are generally in their cocoon based upon their surroundings or the society or the immediate conditioning. So how do they break out of this conditioning and then move on? Because unless until I've seen and then known and I've experienced some kind of a spiritual meditation or guidance from the spiritual gurus around, or some kind of a spiritual orientation, you know, people are a bit lost and they can't break out of these shackles that is either self-imposed or imposed by the society or within the family, be it mother, father, brother, sister, or like even a husband.
Yeah. So as I said, people who are already aware of this need to create some opportunities for all these women to come together, having basic programs, talking to them, giving them an opportunity to do the charcha, have them express their own opinion, let them talk. And we make them realize that, hey, they're going to need that confidence within, no doubt about it. But you create an atmosphere which is little conducive for all those who don't have these opportunities. Fortunately, we all have realized, we are enlightened on this aspect at least. So create that opportunity. And, you know, as Hindus, we are very good at following rituals, following satsang, following, going for some spiritual talk. But that is all very, very one person centric. Yeah, that's all great. We must do that. But what is the collective identity? We have to kind of constantly emphasize on this collective identity, the collective effort coming, identifying that power and then doing it. So like that, creating such opportunities constantly. For that, hum logon ko jo is pe hai, jinko, those who understand the significance of it will have to spend some extra time, will have to sacrifice a little bit more from the family time so that we can create such a, and also exposing them to some good ideas, some good thoughts, some good books, some good speeches, which will inspire them to think about it. But ye artificially karna padega. Jinko us access nahi hai, unke liye humko artificially karna padega. And we can do it. A lot of us are doing it in different parts of the world, right?
Thank you. And also, I believe in this particular thing, getting, whoever women are there in this particular group, getting your friends or husbands or children to the weekly HSS Balagokulam Shaka, wherein, like, you know, this thing is there across different age groups. All the age groups are covered. If you bring them, when transformation is guaranteed, it's forced, like, you know, there is no much choice, because the thing is, the entire vibrations and the positive this thing of one particular thought, and then any other pulls, like, you know, this one will negate or even counteract. So
excellent. So what
Shriram ji
Shriram ji
for this
mentioned
concept.
is the weekly shakha or Balgokulam, what you call it. Why do that? What is the point of doing that? So if you think about it, whatever we do constantly every day becomes our habit, right? So today, nobody has to tell us to brush our teeth because it has become our habit. Today, nobody needs to tell us to touch somebody's feet because we do it with the concept of, with the right mindset. So daily thing becomes a habit. Every habit done with the right mindset becomes your character. And building that character is very important, because what happens if you don't have the character? A best example is Ravana and Rama. Yeah, Rama and Ravana were equally brave people, equally strong warriors, equally knowledgeable people. What was the differentiating point? Was the character. And if we don't build that character, we cannot transform society. And transformation can only happen with continuous samskara. And that continuous samskara in today's day and age, you know, Shakha, Balagokulam, Balavihar, these are the places where we can give people the opportunity to transform themselves. Hum kisi ko transform nahi kar sakte hain. We give the opportunity to people to transform themselves. to build a character so that they can be positive towards the society. Contributing positively to the society only will make us an asset. Otherwise, we are a liability.
Wonderful. Next, we have Smriti ji.
Actually, I just wanted to add one thing. We, as you know, about the books that we should read. So in my daily life, I try to read every day Ramcharitmanas, commentary of Ramcharitmanas and Bhagavad Gita. So early morning, Bhagavad Gita, and evening before going to bed, Ramcharitmanas or Bhagavad. So it keeps altering, and that helps me immensely. And then we also, because each and half of Chapai of Ramcharitmanas has so much meanings of, like, we know the personality of Mata Sita, Sumitra ji, Mata Kaushalya. So I think these legends also are a very must to read scriptures that we should get just some good commentary according to our taste, and we should try to read in our daily lives. Yeah.
So next we have Vikram ji. Vikram ji, kindly unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm trying to search myself to put it in spotlight. I lost myself. Unfortunately, I was there in the session by force because I'm the host and I was given this responsibility, a doc. I was thought, kya hai ye? These are all women empowered things. I'm out of place. But after the end of this session, I feel more knowledgeable. I feel I have a little more gray cells. I have a little more wisdom, a part of Sai Patil ji. And thank you so much for this opportunity. I mean, it was really wonderful listening to you and understanding the importance of women that I'm a Nasik of. But yeah, I will try my bit. Thanks.
So anyone else with any questions? I don't see anyone. Anyone? So I think no one has any questions, Sai ji. So now thank you very much, Sai Patil ji, for clarifying all the doubts so patiently. Now I call upon Srimati Anjali ji to say a few words for our honorable guest and give a vote of thanks. Anjali ji. Anjali ji, you have to unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
You are unmute, but we are not able to hear you. Could you please check if your headset is properly connected?
Hello. Yeah. Is it
now we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I lost the connection. So anyway, so this was a great, a very insightful talk, and you gave us a great insights about how to uphold dharma as a woman, a homemaker, and a mother through the various examples from our own civilization. And so although my job here is to mark the vote, give you the vote of thanks, I actually wanted to add one point earlier. I just didn't raise my hands because I thought anyway I'm going to speak, so don't need repetition. So one thing is that like California book controversy, textbook controversy, something similar happened here also in Germany, where our Hindu Karyakartas actually worked for it, and wrote letters and did protest, and in that, I think that was in North Rhine-Westphalen state in the textbooks. So I think we should be always watchful, like what our children's textbooks are having. And then if we correct even in the class, teachers, as Nidhi told, that's a good way, because many of the people basically the teachers and all don't intend to insult or anything, but their ignorance is what is bringing the false depiction of our concepts, because basically they think the idea of obedience is something wrong. Obedience doesn't mean you are a slave or anything. You just, when two people living together, even if it is not a husband or wife or anything, just roommates also have to consider each other. You should not just go apni marzi completely. So that is kind of the idea of obedience. That was one point. Some other point was there, I forgot. But anyway, on behalf of VHP of Germany, I sincerely express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Sai Patel for sharing the thoughts with us. I hope we can have more sessions like this with you future, because I think we could listen to you more. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining the session.
Dhanyawad. It was a wonderful.
It was so before closing our today's session, I take the opportunity to thank our special guest, Dr. Sai Patil ji, and all the distinguished members for attending the Baudik today. It was really very nice, wonderful Baudik. Actually, I felt really connected with you, madam. So now we will render Om 3 times and then we will disperse.
Okay. Om.